Stop leaving your beats unfinished. This is what 90% of your beats look like, and they could potentially be your best. In today's video, I'm going to show you how you can take your simple idea, your simple loop here, and expand it into a fully fledged beat. First of all, let's take a look at what we've got. Now for this beat here, we've got a sample from Looperman. It sounds like this. So it's a pretty good sample to get our beat going. We also have fully fledged out drums all mixed into a drum bus. So this is a brilliant start, but we need some arrangement to this. Now we do slightly have an intro here, but we can make this a little more exciting. So let's take a listen. We can see it goes with halftime, and then it's going to slowly go into it here. So first things first, we're going to split by channel on our drums here, and we're going to drag these out. Now a couple ideas what you can do for an intro is begin to introduce a lot of the sounds and then let them fall. So what we're going to do here is build up some tension by adding a clap here. So we've already got a nice perk loop, which is sounding pretty good, but this sample is pretty repetitive and it plays just these F sharp for the bass notes. So with it being so simple, we can add in certain elements and effects. So let's see if we can find an interesting sound. So I found this sound. It's the Frozen Strings preset from Labs, which is complete, and I've gone ahead and added it on the very first beat and each four. Then another note in the middle here. Now this is to serve as an accent to build a little bit of tension in the first bit of our beat. Now I think this should start hitting right here. What we're also going to do is I think we're going to layer this with a choir just for the intro. We want to build in a lot of tension before the beat drops so the drums hit harder. The more tension you can build in an intro, the more interesting the hook of the intro is, the better the beat will be. I think the intro is really where you should focus. Like some beats don't need an extensive intro, but if you can start the beat with something catchy and impressive, I think that'll go a long way with the beat. So we're going to go ahead and we're just going to straight up copy these accent notes we got before. Instead, we're going to extend these to play a little longer, and we're going to put them to the appropriate octave. Now the reason I like to do this is to fill up the frequencies and the noise in the intro to make it seem more full. So when the beat drops, the focus can be diverted to the drums easily. Now when it goes from the halftime version into the introduction to the main part of our beat, it doesn't sound very smooth, right? We're going to try a technique here, and we're going to get ourselves a crash. And we're going to drag this crash in, double click and hit reverse, and put it right before this transition. Now let's take a listen to what this sounds like. Now remember, when making beats, your ideas may not work, so you can try other ones just in case these don't work, you know what I mean? So let's take a listen. Oof. 10 times better in my opinion right there. And then you can start to build the groove, and then the beat's gonna drop just like that. Which I think really sounds cool, but there's something missing with these drums. They sound pretty basic and rigid. We want to give it a little more fluidity and create a nicer feeling for that drum. Now, the first thing that I noticed with this is the hi-hats seem pretty lazy and there's not much to it. These hi-hats have a little bit of swing. As you can see, the velocities go up and down in each hi-hat, but there's not much variety to it. So we're going to add in something called hi-hat rolls. Now, hi-hat rolls tend to spice up the beat and make it flow and swing a little better. Now typically hi-hat rolls you want to place before or after the snare. That is this sweet. Obviously there's exceptions, but it is really nice there. So we're going to try this out right now. So first things first, we're going to extend these hi-hats so they are big enough, and we're going to go and head over to just the drum and mute our sample. With these hi-hats, we're going to weight the snare, And what we're going to do is we're going to do one just before. Now we're going to highlight this, holding control, then we're going to hit Alt U, and it's going to pull up the Bokuwo Doctor. We're going to pull up the chopper. And what we can do here is add in our hi-hat roll. Now what I like to do is slope the velocities here by holding right click. Now we're going to again add it to this bit, but as well as this, we're going to do the same thing on the 4th snare, and we're going to do it descending. So it sounds like... Now we're actually going to do this a little bit off as well, like this. And this is already becoming more interesting. And we're going to delete this whole section here. Now this, in my opinion, adds some swing. Yo, looking for the signs, but we never gonna stop. Move it to the bricks and we be moved to the top. Hey. So I think that little pause right there where the beat cuts out is very creative for artists to use, and it makes the beat a little more interesting. Now I might actually move the placement of that in the future, but for now we're just going to leave. Another thing you can do with hi-hat rolls is set them faster, and we're going to use this one. And we're going to use the time multiplication and put this all the way to the left. Now we're going to put this down a couple octaves and hear it now. So that's not quite what we want, so we're going to put it up a octave. And I still think that's not what we want, so we're going to put it down a few notes. So this is kind of sounding a little more like what we want, and we're going to do the little slope again. Now this beat is pretty simplistic, and it's going to be a repetitive one. So we have to differentiate between, you know, the chorus and the verse in some sort of way. Now we can use the halftime, but I also want to use a different 808 pattern. What we're going to do is we're going to look into this 808 pattern and see if we can make it a little more interesting. That little improvement can differentiate the 808 from the rest of the beat to make it slightly more interesting, but it goes a long way. So we're going to have that more complex hi-hat pattern for our chorus, but we are going to simplify the hi-hat in some areas. So we're going to have less hi-hat rolls. We're going to cut the hi-hat more often, and we're going to have it like this as well. And maybe we cut out like the first two here, so it sounds like... So to summarize, what we've done here is we've took our basic loop, we've expanded it and made things more exciting in certain areas to give the beat a little more flow. Now what you can also do is add and remove certain elements in the part of the beat. You might not want this clap always in the same bit. You might want to add this choir and violin here. So what I'm going to do in the description is I'm going to leave a download link to this FLP in a zip, and I want to see if anyone can create something and arrange this beat better than it already is, because this is not finished, but that's on purpose. So use the tips in this video, add in little subtle sounds to make it more interesting, and rearrange how this beat sounds, and I want to see who can do it the best. Now before I go, I just want to say one more thing. This is not a full arrangement tutorial. This is just to remind you about your old ideas and how to spark them into something new. So you got this, keep on going and enjoy.